Hello, and welcome to Bear Academy. I'm your host, Bear. Last year, I read 54 books, which is the 5 or 6th year that I kept reading one book per week. In this video, I'm going to share why I did that, how I did that, and what are the books that I recommended that I've read in 2020. So let's check it out. Right. So the first question is about why. Why I kept reading books. So I think for this one, it's all about learning. And to be clear, it's not about showing off. It's not about to achieve some specific numbers like one of my friends read 40 books, so I want to read 50 books in 1 year. It's not about that. I got a lot of reading from reading. So I went to a new country with my family and transitioned my career, landed a job without local experience and academical background, and also doubled my hourly rate in just 1 year. I lost nearly 25 kg, which is not just achieved in just 1 year, right? So all these things that I'm doing, reading book took a big part of it. And reading for me is the cheapest way to invest myself, to upskill, and also for my self-improving. It's the cheapest and probably the fattest way. So reading to work and live better, that's my reason. And because of that, I chose nonfiction as my primary reading direction. So roughly around 80% of the books that I've read are nonfictions. So that's the first question. Why? And let's went to another session. So if we want to read one book every week, do we have some tips? Yes, we do. And the first tips I want to introduce is to read books by listening audiobooks. So you can use the time that you can't read physical book or ebook, such as driving, taking bus, or doing housework. And for me, by listening to audiobooks, I changed the dishwashing time into a personal learning and improving session. And also, I trained myself to get used to a faster speed to listen. Currently, I can listen to audiobooks in 1.5 times speed, which is a great time saver. So audiobook. The next one is speed reading. So there are a few methods that we can learn for speed reading, and probably I can introduce that in another video. But in generally, I think it's a great way that you can double or even triple your amount of books, the books that you read in the same time. And there are doubts about it. People will say, well, if you read that fast, you will lose the joy of reading. So I don't agree that option. It's like when you drive a car, if you are able to handle a faster speed, such as 150, it doesn't necessarily you have to drive in the maximum speed, right? If you are driving in the South Island of New Zealand, you can enjoy the landscape and view in 40 or 50 per hour. So it's always nice to have some options if you have different ways of different speeds of reading books. So for me, I don't have to read fast for all the books, but it's also nice to have some options. So these are the two general methods that can broaden our bandwidth of reading so that we're able to choose more books. And the third tips I want to share is readathon. Readathon. Okay, whatever. You know what I mean. So it's read plus marathon, which means you can use a long period of time to finish one book or a series of books. So for me, public holidays are the best time to make great progress on my reading list. Normally, I use holidays to read 2 to 4 hours per day, which sometimes is enough to finish a book in just one day. And I also planned a reading challenge online when I was in China, and many people shared that they loved it, right? So readathon, that's the third method I want to share. And the last one, but not the least, build or design your daily reading routine. Probably this will be the most important one. If you can try to read around 30 minutes per day, if you can build that habit, which is achievable for most of us, if you can do that, you probably can read much more books than you are reading now. Let's do some math. On the average, estimated hour for finishing a non-fiction books is around 4 to 5 hours. So if you can read 30 minutes per day, you can finish a book in 8 or 9 days. Let's say 10 days you can finish a book. So you can finish 36 books in just 1 year, which is an awesome achievement for most of us. So yeah, building your reading habit is the best way to accelerate your reading habit, your reading experience. Right, so these are all the methods I'm using for finishing one book per week: audiobook, speed reading, readathon, and building your daily reading routine. Hope you like these 4 tips. And last part of this video, I would like to share some of the books that I read in last year. Like mentioned, that I read 54 books in last year, and what you can see is that I'm using Notion to share my reading log, and which is an awesome tool. And in last year, I read around 45 books that I read in English, and other 6 of them are in Chinese. And here are the top 10 of these books. So the first book I recommend last year was Digital Minimalism. So this book helped me to regain the control of my attention and time from doing something that doesn't deserve, like social media. Okay, so great book. The other one, Siddhartha. So this is a novel, and also what I think is a fable about our life and universe. So good. Highly recommend this. And next one, Forever Employable. So this book was written by Jeff Goldfield, the influencer of design industry, shares the tips and strategy of building a future-proof career. So the timing will be never better. 2020, right? You got it. Next one, Surely You Are Joking, Mr. Feynman. This book is the biography about Richard Feynman, so the physical legend. He's also my idol in many ways. This book is the best way to learn his thinking progress, and also quite enjoyable to read his awesome story. Highly recommend. Next one, The Design of Everyday Things. So this book is a great one. It's a classic book that if you want to know anything related to design. Yeah. Next one, Germs and Steel. this book, I tried to read it in English, but I failed. So I read it in Chinese, which is a easier way for me to understand. And I think my mind was blown by this book. So it's such a great book about history, geographic, and cultural, which opens a brand new perspective for me to see the world. Next one, The Urban Sketcher. So this book really helps me to build the habit and started to learn how to draw, how to sketch in my late 30s. So yeah, that's a great book. The other one, Educated. I think, wow, I was deeply touched by the story of the author about her, how she used the knowledge to find out how the world looks like. It's a great book. So yeah, highly recommend to read. The last one is another fable, another novel, and a classic, The Tartar Steppe. So this book, just the best story about time, about the limitation of time that I read in this year. Let me give you a quote to finish this session. Time has slipped by so quickly that his heart has not had a chance to grow old. Yeah, highly recommend for reading this book. Oh, here's another one. Amusing Ourselves to Death. So this book was written a few decades ago, but precisely predicted our lives in 21st century. So yeah, it's another classic one that if you want to make some content, I highly recommend to read this book. Okay, so these are all the books that I read in 2020 and also my methods to become a better reader. That 4 tips that I share, and I hope you like it. And if you like this video, please subscribe and please leave some comments to help me make better content in the next stage. And also, let me ask you a question. What was your favorite books that you've read in 2020? Please leave your comment below. Right, thanks for watching and hope you like it. I will see you in the next video. Bye.